So Kriya Yoga and divine love, how do they tie together? Many people think of divine love as being some kind of great wave or pillar of light that descends through one's body and lifts one up into an indescribable state of consciousness. That can happen. It's rare. Sometimes you have to question whether it's a form of expectation that allows one to experience that, but whatever it is, it's a good experience to have. But is divine love only about that? Or is divine love about the quality of every activity of your day? Is it about how you treat yourself and how you treat other people? Over and over, sages, spiritual texts, various religions share this idea that God and divine consciousness is everything. And you've heard me say it before when we used to have a meditation center in Asheville, and I would express that everything is God, even you are God. The assistant minister at the time would often pull me aside and say, "You can't tell people that." They can't think that. Who knows what they'll do? And I get it. You know, as humans, many of us have really strange ideas, and so you start thinking you're God. Things can get weird fast. But let's put that aside for now, and let's just imagine the very basic, simple understanding that God, divine consciousness, is everything. And if that's so, then every person we meet, everyone we interact with, even ourselves, when we treat them with love and respect, we are realizing a sense of divine love. When someone is in need, just this past month, I was spending some time on the river with some of my close friends, and we had shown up at the dock with our kayaks, and I had my stand-up paddleboard, and the mother of one of my friends heard someone cry out across the river and heard a crash. And immediately, one of my friends was an EMT. She just said, "Get out of the boat, give it to me." She jumped in the boat, she paddled across the river, she climbed up, this hillside, made it to this person's house where a man who was cleaning out his gutters. He was older than us. He had fallen and was not responsive. So we all then eventually made it over there to help out. But she had the skills to help, and she did. And even that activity is an act of divine love, coming to the assistance of someone who needs it. Smiling at another person, anticipating the needs of your spouse, or finding a way to spend quality time with your children, or any of your friends, anyone. This is how divine love can flow through us. And what Kriya Yoga does, what Kriya Yoga meditation does, is it allows us to recognize the simplicity of this truth. In our meditations, when we do them well, what's happening when we practice meditation, particularly Kriya Yoga meditation, is we're bringing our awareness internally to the core where our nervous system is. And our nervous system is that vessel, that vehicle, that tool, which through this particular body, through this personality, allows us to process the greater consciousness. That's what it allows us to do. And the more we bring our awareness there and flow our awareness upward, as we do in the meditation procedures, it allows us to let go of attachment to this small sense of self that we feel is the body, the mind, the personality. And we are then more aware of the fact that this consciousness, this enlivening intelligence this power which animates this body while we're alive, and when we're done, when we pass, when we transition, it leaves this body, and then that's why the body decays and returns back into its elements. It's the same presence, consciousness, which is enlivening, shining down through all the trees, all the plants, all the animals, all our friends, all of our family. And that's why when we look around after practicing Kriya Yoga meditation, we see a tree and we feel love. Or when we see an animal, we recognize it as something greater than just what we see with our eyes. That's why, again, in the Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, in order for you to see my form, you have to have divine sight, because you can't see it with your eyes, because your eyes are just functioning through this nervous system, which is only perceiving a certain level of experience. But by drawing your awareness within and flowing it upward, metaphorically, and merging it with the rest of you, then you are able to appreciate, quote, see what God is, what you are related to that, what everyone is related to that. So every time you're kind to another person, every time you resist that inner temptation of your personality to be snarky to someone, or to cut someone off, or to be cruel, or whatever it might be, every time you resist that and instead you breathe through it, you are giving the breathing room the space for love to flow through more profoundly in your body. And it's the Kriya Yoga meditation, really any meditation, but since my only experience is with Kriya Yoga, that's how I feel it, allows that space for this love to come through. And that's really all that matters in this life. And then you see God in everything, and you don't need to search for God anymore, or divine consciousness. And again, those are just words, because the actual experience, reality of it, can't be contained in words. And you'll notice that the more people meditate well, and I stress the word well there, because many people get involved in meditation, they go through the routine of it, they go through the process of it, but they're not really doing that inner work. And what is that inner work? That inner work is you meditate until you are as peaceful as you can be, even if you have to force it in the beginning, because sometimes we do, and you start to access a moment of clarity and connectedness. And then the work is what? Opening your eyes, looking around, seeing it in the world around you, calling it forth, recognizing that resonance that's within you, that's without you, and how it all resonates together, recognizing it in everyone and everything, no matter what they believe in that's different from you, no matter how they act, because we don't know why people are the way they are, why their personality is built the way it is, why their body is built the way it is. Some people are just assholes. You can't get around it. You try to have a conversation with them, they're just difficult, they're nasty to you, no matter how helpful you try to be. So sure, you have to deal with them appropriately, but dealing with them appropriately is not coming from a place of punishment or seeing them as less than. It's about honoring and recognizing they have a role to play in this world too, even though we don't understand it. And then aiming to try to feel, to understand that there is that essence of God, that essence of love, which is animating their body, mind, and spirit as well. That equality which is there. And when you can see that in everyone that you talk to, again, it doesn't mean that you treat everyone the same, in the sense of, you have your beautiful wife or your spouse or your kind husband, and you do certain things with those people. You don't go around doing them to everyone else, because there's a different interpersonal role going on there. It's the recognition of the essence of the person. So we're not talking about free love, because personally I think that the more committed you are to a relationship, the easier it allows you to have a clear sense of love and well-being with everyone, friends, enemies, relatives, in-laws, whatever it might be. So anyway, the idea of divine love, and probably the goal for many of these talks, at least I've already given one, so this will be the second one, is trying to encourage you to really bring home into your real life a sense of peace and love, and to let go of any fantasy that you have around spirituality, because the more fantasy you have, the more you delay your actual realization. The more fantasy you have, the more you delay your actual realization. And it's okay to be entertained for a while. We all need it. It's okay to even be entertained after you're really doing things well on your path, really in it, really in life right now. It's just nice for the mind to be entertained. But when you think about your meditation practice and your Kriya Yoga practice, find a way to, after you get done meditating, every single day, to the best of your ability, take a moment to ask, with the people I'm going to be interacting with the things I'm going to be doing, how can I share a sense of love with them? You know, when you're driving down the road and someone's on the street with a sign and you can't, you know, you're stopping and maybe you don't want to give them money because who knows what they're going to do with the money. Although, you know, it's God anyway, so whatever they do with it's fine. But you have a bottle of water, or you have a power bar or something. You give it to them. That is extending a type of love to them. When you're at the store and you see someone checking you out, a cashier, maybe see if there's something about them nice that you could say, or just wish them a good day. When you think about your spouse, or your sibling, or your parents, or children, or anyone, ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today just for the sake of being kind to them, of supporting them? And the trick there, the key is to do something for them that they would appreciate, not something that you think they need or you want to impose upon them, because oftentimes we can mistake that for love as well. But it's one kind thing you can do. And you'll find that if you meditate intensely and intently in the morning or at night or whenever your scheduled practice is, and you get as clear and calm as possible, and then at the end you spend some time in prayer, wishing others well, seeing them in their highest light, their clarity, not trying to control their lives, not trying to force upon them healing, not trying to force upon them love or well-being as you perceive it, but just seeing them in their essence as perfect, as clear, as whole, no matter what life brings them, that they have the faith and strength to understand and appreciate God in whatever life brings them, and that you have the strength and capacity and faith to appreciate God in whatever life brings you in regards to that relationship. Do that at the end of all of your meditations, and then think about what you can do actually in activity in the day to let just a little bit of some form of love and kindness flow through you in a very real and meaningful way. And you even let go of attachment to it. You're not doing it to get anything. You're just letting it flow. Wherever it goes, whatever it does, it's not your business. You're just letting it flow through you so the flow becomes greater and stronger and clearer, and the realization becomes brighter as you continue walking this path of Kriya Yoga and continue meditating. And then let it go. Always let it go. That's the key. Non-attachment. The more attached you are to the love you give, expecting someone to say thank you, expecting someone to give it back to you, well, that's cutting you off, because you're giving a condition to it. I will let this love flow through if I get this response. I will let this love flow through if this happens. And that's not how God, divine consciousness, works. It is unconditional. And the more you can make peace with that and live in that way, more than likely the greater joy you'll have. Maybe the less difficult some of your trials will be, even though there will still be trials. You'll be able to better recognize that flow in every moment in between the trials, or even while trials are happening. And you'll be able to recognize this wholeness of God, divine consciousness, rather than saying one side of the coin is good, one side of the coin is God, one side of the coin is bad, one side of the coin is suffering, I don't want that. You see the whole coin. You see that it's always flipping. It's always changing. And that is the nature of this, from my perspective and understanding, that is the nature of this divine consciousness in form in this temporal world. So your homework, if you choose to accept it, is for the next week minimum, meditate daily as deeply as possible without strain, without stressing, At the end of every meditation, spend 5 minutes in prayer, in contemplation of accepting, calling forth, realizing, seeing the light, the good, in as many people as you can in your life. Not trying to change them, not trying to change their life, just honoring that brilliant essence that allows them to be here, to have whatever experience is most necessary for them, because God knows what that is, and that is what is happening. And then once you're peaceful in that regard, then spend another minute or two just reflecting upon your day ahead, the people you're going to see or the people you could see, and contemplating, what can I do to bring a little more kindness into their life? What is just a little compliment I can give, or just a little thing I can do for someone? And then as you go through your day, look for the opportunities to express that. So that is your homework. Try it for a week. Take notes in your journal. And then come back to this video, this talk, and post in the comment section what your experience was in that regard.